Just as a side note before this video, I wanted people to let people know that I was unable to get an early test copy of the Fujifilm GFX. The supplies on that unit were incredibly limited, so they went out to some hardcore, Fuji at all costs sort of people. I've been incredibly positive on Fuji, but, you know, I'm honest with them as I am in criticizing Nikon or anybody else for that matter. But I do have a GFX coming and on order. Not cheap, by the way. What I'm going to be buying in addition to that are a couple batteries, vertical grip, the tilt shift adapter, and the zoom, which is an equivalent of a 21 millimeters to 50 millimeters. First lens I'm going to be getting for it is not a prime, which you would think would be logical, but the actual zoom lens for the GFX. One thing I've noticed, and other people have pointed this out, and a rumor site dedicated to Fuji has pointed this out as well, and I have no affiliation to that guy at all. Absolutely none. None, thankfully. Is that many companies, and they pointed out that a diaper review was highly critical of the GFX Fuji, which is the 51 megapixel medium format camera, stating that the Sony and the Nikon D810 were easily as good, if not superior. Now, I've seen a lot of straight out of camera images, both raw and full JPEGs. They're not at all comparable, so that's an absolutely absurd BS statement. It's a 5.3 micrometer pixel pitch and an enormous sensor. We're not talking about a Mamiya digital here. We're talking about, you think, well, it's expensive, $6,500 for the body, but it's actually not. Compared to most medium format digital, I mean, it's cheap. Some of these companies are crapping all over Fuji, and this has been a trend for the past couple of years. And the only thing that I can think of, like for example with Diaper Review, is that they don't provide, Fujifilm doesn't provide any advertising to them. Fujifilm is starting to kick everybody else's ass. That combined with the fact that Fuji is not dumping advertising, like the fools at Sigma and Sony, and Nikon doesn't drop much advertising either. They drop plenty of advertising. But, Fujifilm is not feeding these, these soulless demon sort of entities, magazines, and the rest of them with advertising. Quality screams. The crap that is crap has to advertise heavily. The worst products have the most advertising. Sigma. Fujifilm spreads by word of mouth. Quality sells. I mean, you don't see, you see a Ford commercial every day. You ever seen a friggin' Lamborghini commercial? Porsche almost never does a damn commercial. I mean, basically never. I mean, I think it's been years since I've seen a goddamn Porsche commercial. That sort of crap advertises. It doesn't need advertising. The quality sells itself. So the fact that Fujifilm is not dropping any money on these idiot, websites and magazines tells you a lot. And that's something to consider. The person that, or persons that runs the a rumor site on Fuji had pointed that out, but he never gets to the answer, but that is the answer. Fujifilm, like Lamborghini and Porsche and Aston Martin and some of the rest of these companies and a likewise ilk and different product manufacturer, they don't need to advertise. The quality stuff does sell itself. And Fujifilm has been basically working off of that premise. Now, you can say, well, they're small, maybe their advertising budget's not that big. Well, you could say that, and that would be partially true, but it's ultimately not. Fujifilm is just not dishing out any advertising, which is what these people thrive on. And these people give the most love to the people that give them the most love. And by love, I mean fucking money. And Fujifilm is not giving them any love. The Fuji love is from between Fuji and its end users, professional photographers and amateur shutterbugs. And it's not existing between them and the people that pimp products. This has also been true in the YouTube. I can't call them photographers, but let's just call them photographers for a second. The top 3 or 4 people who I will not name, you know who they are, people with like 400,000 plus subscribers. Every one of them, they basically, to a greater or lesser extent, mostly to an extreme extent actually, don't ever talk about Fuji. They'll mention it like, oh, here's a Fuji, but I'll have to talk about Canon or Nikon or Sony. That is very telling. I've said this before. The very fact that the people that I find most disreputable and, this is my premise, useless when it comes to intelligent, wise, logical advice on photography equipment, the fact that they gloss over Fujifilm almost entirely. I'm not referring to any specific individual, but like say the top 4 or 5 people in subscriber count, they don't talk about Fujifilm at all. They don't. One of them will actually make a video here or there, but they quickly pass over it. That's very good. That's very good. You have to understand not only what people say, but what they don't say. Because Fujifilm does not, they're not going to give free equipment, and, they don't care about giving products or, having mouthpieces. Fujifilm does have sponsored shooters. I know that. I know one of them quite well that I talk with. So that's not the point that I'm trying to make, but these people gloss over Fuji, and that's really good news. And these advertising outlets, like some of the online photography discussion boards, one of which recently trashed the GFX, that's epic BS. And I know better, I've seen the straight out of camera images. I've had my hands on the GFX. I'm getting a GFX as soon as they become available because supplies are very limited. I should have been on the first boat with getting one, but I wasn't. No big deal. They'll become available here in a couple months or so. That's not a problem. But these YouTube photography channels and some of these advertising portals, trashing Fujifilm or not talking about them, that's actually a good thing. You need to understand that. It's kind of like an evil person trashing something that's good or wholesome. It's kind of like if McDonald's Burger Company were to start trashing, salads and fruit, because they sell hamburgers and greasy, unhealthy crap. It's like, well, that's a good thing, Those are the people that I do want to trash. Fruits and salads, healthy stuff. It's kind of in the same ilk. That and the fact that Fujifilm doesn't provide any financial love to those people and entities. And they reciprocate because they don't need it. Quality sells itself. Anyway, thanks for watching.